Alright, listen up class. Today we are going to be looking at a meal plan. This is a plan that we put together with the help of our live stream audience. They made suggestions and had questions and gave forward ideas. We took all their ideas and I put in some of my own and took away all their bad ideas, and we created one good meal plan for someone who's intending to lose weight or stay healthy long term, keep the weight off long term, whatever that goal might be. This plan is for a fictional character, but we created a scenario that hopefully allows everybody to sort of relate to what she's going through. You should see that even though this is a fictional character, they're dealing with a lot of the same challenges that you are. This is a girl who is 23 years old, and she is living in New York City. She has a new job. She's just recently graduated, and she has a new boyfriend, a new relationship that she's getting into. She's also social. She likes to go out. She likes the nightlife. She likes to spend time with her friends. She likes to be the life of the party and the entertainer. And so all of these things are going to contribute to her challenges in managing her weight and making healthy choices. We're going to look at a plan today which is going to examine her typical work day. In future videos, we're going to take a look at more complicated challenges. We're going to put her through a vacation and see how she handles trying to be relaxed and have a good time without having to count calories and all of those details. We're going to put her through maybe a bit of grief. We're going to give her some bad news and see how she handles comfort foods and dealing with stress and emotions and those sort of things. We're going to run this girl through all of the challenges that you're going to face in life and see how she approaches them from the perspective of someone who wants to lose weight and keep them off long term. So if you want to see some of those more extravagant challenges, I do recommend that you subscribe to the channel, see those videos as they come out. But in the meantime, let's get started on this one. Okay, so we're doing a plan for Ileana today, and this is going to be her typical work day. This is going to be how she approaches most of her usual days. I put typical in quotations because no day is going to be exactly the same, but the vast majority of the time this is going to be the standard template that she likes to use. We're going to walk her through a typical day. The first thing I want to do is show you what her day looks like. Then we can examine a little bit more closely why she wants to make the food choices that she does and what specific choices she makes. So just to understand Ileana, she is, as I said in the intro, new to New York City. She's living with two roommates, and this is her first time being out from her parents. She is dating. She's got a new boyfriend. They've been together for a month or two, so still kind of working things out, figuring out what the relationship's going to be. And she wants to impress him, and she wants to also be impressed by him, and all of the normal stuff that comes along with relationships. She also has a new job. She is a programmer and web developer, and she wants to, in this new job, make a name for herself, establish her career. So she wants to impress her coworkers, she wants to fit in, she wants to be a part of the group, and she wants for her boss to notice her as well. She wants to look and actually be a good worker. She wants to play that game. She wants to be able to climb. So let's walk through what her typical day looks like. She walks to work in the morning. This is where a lot of her physical activity is going to come from. She walks to work in the morning. She walks back from work in the evening. This limits her routine because it means that she doesn't have time most days to sit and cook and have a full breakfast and in any way invest in that meal, which I think is a challenge that a lot of people face. That's going to be really a motivating factor for her, especially in the mornings. So a lot of the foods she's going to want to eat in the morning are foods that she can either eat quickly, at least cook quickly, and carry on the way, eat while she's walking. She gets to work, and it's important, she never wants to show up to work late. She doesn't want any sort of delays along the way because she wants to impress this new boss and again, as I said, make a name for herself. I don't know why it's so important for me to stress that to you guys, but it's different if you're in a working environment where there's politics, you're trying to play the game. For lunch, her boss often orders food or will take everybody out to celebrate if they meet a certain milestone. Her coworkers want to go out to eat and they want to eat in, and there's a social dynamic there that's at play. It's not just figuring out lunch for herself. She needs a lunch that allows her to fit in with this group. And so that's a challenge that we have to figure out how to tackle. Prior to lunch and after lunch, while she's working, it's a very sedentary job, and she's very, nose to the grindstone. She's very busy doing the work and wanting to do a good job. So she's not going to be having frivolous snacks. She's not going to be, getting up from her desk very often and doing a lot of stuff. She's working during that period. After work, she uses this time to socialize. In the city, people typically eat dinner later than they do in more rural areas or in the suburbs. So her dinner is normally going to be pushed back a little bit, 7, 8, 9 o'clock p.m. Compared to, somewhere else. So she has time in between leaving work and setting that up, getting ready for dinner. In that time, she's very extroverted. She's very social, which I think makes her plans really interesting to talk about. She's going to do a lot of different things. Sometimes she goes out for drinks with coworkers. Sometimes she has clubs that she's a part of, a book club, or she's a part of a community frisbee team. And they get together and they play frisbee on a certain day of the week, Wednesdays, I think. They do stuff socially. If she doesn't have any sort of specific commitment, she has a particular friend, she's her best friend in the city, and they go to a dog park, and her friend has a dog, and they let the dog run around, and then they get to decompress and socialize and talk about the day. There are some casual things that will happen in there. If she goes to drink with her coworkers, she has to handle that. If she needs a snack in that time period, if they're walking around, there's a decent chance she might want something she can carry with her to get through that socialization period. Then she gets home and she cooks dinner. She likes being that person. She likes being the life of the party, and she likes having the house, having the apartment that everybody comes over to. She has 2 roommates, and during a normal weekday, they're not having raging parties and things like that. But her 2 roommates are always going to be there. She invites her new boyfriend over very often, and she likes to cook. She likes to experiment a little bit. She likes to try new things. And she wants to cook for everybody. She wants to impress everybody. And it's always nice when you cook for somebody and they ooh and ah, and they're amazed by your talent. So she spends time looking up new recipes and exploring and doing things like that. We will probably find, as we do more and more plans for Ileana, that most of her variety comes at the end of the day. She's going to have some pretty standard breakfasts. She's going to have some pretty classic things that she does for lunch a lot, but her dinners are where she gets to experiment. That's where she gets to go out and buy new ingredients and try new recipes and try to impress everybody else. So I think a lot of her variety is probably going to come in there. And then after dinner, they're socializing, they're hanging out. Again, not raging parties and things like that, but they're having a good time. So in that area of time, you're going to see a lot of things show up. Sweets, I think, finger foods. Her friends, her roommate and her boyfriend, are going to be eating chips and crackers and nuts and things like that, snacking type foods. They're going to be having desserts after they had dinner. You're going to see drinks show up in this part of the plan. And that's a particular challenge that Ileana's going to have to face, and we'll have to figure out what we're going to do about that. This, I think, is a good overview of what motivates Ileana and what her typical workday is going to look like. Let's now look at an actual example full day meal plan if she was trying to eat healthy and maybe lose a little bit of weight. All right, I had to move my camera over so we can see everything that's going into Ileana's meal plan here. Let me say now, there's a lot of text on the screen here. If you look in the description of this video, or if you check out our website, MHW Online, you will find links to recipes and ingredients and specific products that we reference here. Everything will be listed out either in the description of this video on YouTube or on our website. So if you can't find anything, or if there's something that you're looking for specifically, that's the best way to find it. All right, let's get into it. Her breakfast. The vast majority of the time, she's looking for an easy breakfast. She's looking for a breakfast that she can eat with one hand, because she's got a bag, or she's got stuff that she has to carry for work every day, or she's got her phone, and she's walking to work. So there's no public transportation that she's using. She's not driving on the way there. She doesn't really have time in the morning to sit down and make a breakfast. There will be occasions where we'll throw things like that into her plan. But most of her breakfast, she's going to want to be fast so she can get out the door and make sure that she's at work on time. And this is a typical day. We'll see some different stuff on weekends and on different challenges. So the best thing that we decided as a live stream for Ileana for breakfast is some kind of drink. The classics would be like a smoothie or a shake or something like that. We gave her a meal replacement shake. This is a chocolate shake specifically. And if you're unfamiliar at all, a meal replacement shake is a powdered shake. You add water or ice, you blend it up, similar to a protein shake. But a meal replacement shake is designed with a little bit more of a focus on keeping you full. Protein shakes are more like a supplement to make sure you're getting that protein if you're trying to bodybuild or recover from sports or something like that. Meal replacement shakes are a little bit more skewed towards weight management because they're designed also to be big in volume and to fill you up. They normally taste a little bit better because you understand when you're using a meal replacement that you are eating this as a choice, as for food. You're eating this for sustenance. So there's a specific meal replacement shake that we do reference on our website, and there'll be a link in the description below. But there are a few different options for meal replacements that you can find on our website as well. We gave her a chocolate shake because that's going to be your most standard option. Chocolate and vanilla are what you're going to see more often than anything else. I think mostly just for variety we gave her chocolate. I think she would have been just fine with the vanilla, but today we just decided to go with a chocolate shake. One of the benefits of using a shake is we're going to put her coffee into the shake. Something to consider if you like coffee is how you want to handle cream, how you want to handle sugar, what sort of substitutes you have for that. Because you could have a perfectly good day, and if you start adding cream and sugar and stuff, now you're going to gain weight with very little effort. It's very easy to let that mess you up, especially if you drink a lot of coffee. And Ileana's in that zone where she's going to be drinking coffee all day long, possibly. She's going to be drinking coffee in this late night period, sometimes when she's socializing and they're hanging out. Coffee's going to show up quite a bit, so we want good alternatives for that. Now, sometimes we'll throw some options out for zero-calorie sweeteners and syrups and low-calorie coffee creamers you can use. But in this case, if we put the shake in her coffee, or we put the coffee in her shake, then we get to kill two birds with one stone. She gets something to eat. There's volume, there's calories, there's protein. So she gets a little bit of substance, and also she's drinking her coffee, and she gets it all in one cup, and it's easy to do. Now, as a chat, we threw out the question, what fruits or vegetables taste good in coffee? And one of the answers that came back was plum, which is something that I've never done before, but I liked the way that sounded right away. And I thought there was a richness to a chocolate, coffee, plum, this like dark, really, it sounded decadent to me. It sounded really kind of lovely. I don't know if it's like the bright breakfast shake that you want, but it definitely sounded like a good dessert shake. And there's no rules. You can have chocolate for breakfast. You can put different flavors at any point throughout the day that you want, so long as you're eating good stuff. So if she likes chocolate, I thought this was a good option for her. So this plum is actually going into the shake. It's all getting blended together. I think this one is likely an iced coffee, and so it's made as a cold shake. And instead of a normal like coffee cup, it's going to be this big when it comes out. It's going to last her all the way till she gets to work, maybe even a little bit longer after she gets to work. This one's iced, but it could be warm in the future as well if you wanted to make it as a warm shake. I don't know how you would want to handle the plum when you warm that up. You may still want to use the plum, or you may want to try looking for a plum extract or a plum flavoring, just because I don't know if the fruit would get gross if you put that into a warm shake. But that's breakfast. It's a really fast, really easy breakfast. She can whiz it up in the blender and she's out the door. She's ready to go. She walks to work. When she gets to work, she gets to work. She's busy as soon as she walks in the door. So, she's friendly and she'll say hi to all of her teammates and that sort of thing. But she's at her computer. She's focused. For that situation, a lot of the times what she's going to want is if she snacks between breakfast and lunch, she's going to want a snack that she can just sort of keep at her desk and eat over time. And a good example of this might be grapes or carrot sticks or something, where you can eat one and you keep working, and then you eat a little bit more and you keep working. But it's not going to be a designated snack. She's not going to sit down and take time and pull away and eat this snack for a length of time. I know for programmers, there are periods where you have to figure something out and you're sort of thinking about it. So there'll be times where she sits back from her desk and she's sort of nibbling and trying to look at it and figure stuff out. But most of the time, it's going to be eaten that way, sort of slow and over time. One of the things that we like for that is raw fruits and vegetables. As I said, grapes and carrot sticks work really well. And in this case, we wanted to add a little bit of extra variety. A little bit of extra protein, but mostly just to keep it interesting. If all she ate was cherry tomatoes, little tomato bites, that would be a fine snack, and I think that would work well. That would get her through. But the extra variety just makes it more interesting, more fun. Low-fat cottage cheese is a good option for that. And there's going to be an example on our website with a recipe with specific spices that you can throw into that cottage cheese and put it all together. But really, any sort of savory herbs will do well. I've been doing a lot of basil recently and pesto sauces, trying to make those in a healthy way. But you could do mint in the cottage cheese. You could do Italian seasonings in the cottage cheese. That's one place where you have a lot of room to experiment. And that's a place where she can get variety. As I said, a lot of the times she's not going to experiment too much in the early period of the day. She's going to do a lot of very classic things. A lot of my clients that I coach eat the same breakfast every day of the week. There's nothing wrong with that. But just for the sake of getting a little bit more variety, if she wants to have cottage cheese as a snack every day, some days she can put vegetables with it, some days she could put fruits. Some days she could put certain spices, some days she'll put other spices. I think even just black pepper is a recommendation that you'll see a lot for cottage cheese. But okay, we're going to give her that, and it's going to give her a little bit of variety, and it's going to give her a little bit of protein as well. Now, there's another reason why we give the cottage cheese, and that is because lunch is one of the first major challenges for her. She's never really going to go off track for breakfast. She's never really going to mess up at her snack because her routine is so scheduled. It's so driven in the mornings. Lunch is a challenge because her coworkers eat out. They order food and they bring it back. They ask her if she wants something. Somebody has a birthday and they bring a cake into the office. And as I said, her boss sometimes will want to celebrate with everybody, will want everybody to eat together, and will want to do team building exercises and things like that. And that creates an added challenge. It's hard to turn down anybody, especially every day. These are your coworkers, you see them every single day. They keep inviting you to go out to lunch, and you keep saying no every day. You're going to look like a jerk to your coworkers, maybe. And also, you may feel bad about that. You may want to participate. Like, even if you don't care what they think about you, you might feel like, I like to go out, and I want to hang out with everybody. I want to have a good time, too. And you can't say no all the time. I had a challenge really early on with my own weight loss where there were specific situations that I tried to avoid, and I kept saying no to going to the movies or to doing different things because I didn't want to be tempted. And eventually people stopped inviting me to those things as much. And I went, hold on. I still want to be invited. I still want to be a part of the event. So you can't say no all the time. You just can't. It's one thing when it's with your coworkers, but then if you add the extra layer of it's your boss, and you want to impress your boss, and you want them to like you, and you want them to consider you for raises and promotions and that sort of stuff, you have to, I don't even want to say you have to, but you're going to feel an obligation. Because this is the stone cold truth. If you're struggling with your weight, Ileana doesn't have a ton of weight to lose, but if you have a heart problem, or you're on an oxygen tank, or you're 100 plus pounds overweight, you don't have to play that game. I think there's a certain point where you have to draw the line and say, my health is important and I have to take care of this. But, having said that, you may want to play the game, and you may feel an obligation to play the game and to just to want to be a part socially. So this is getting off topic, but That's a challenge that she faces a lot for lunch. They order out food often. So when we put this plan together, I liked the idea of having a snack at this lunchtime window, or a little bit before this lunchtime window. I liked the idea of making this a little bit more substantial. Even if she wasn't super hungry, even if just the tomatoes alone would have been fine for her, I thought that it would be a good idea for us to put a little bit extra there, because when it comes time to order lunch, or when it comes time to go out to eat, I want her to be thinking straight. I don't want her to get distracted or to start looking at the menu and go, oh, that looks good. Maybe I will, cheat a little bit today, and whatever the case goes. You guys know how the story ends up devolving. I wanted her not to be hungry at all, so that she could make a clear decision for what she wanted to do for lunch. When we get to lunch, we spent a lot of time talking about this, and we actually looked up some different menus for real restaurants in New York, and we wanted to give Ileana something that she could order every day of the week. If they went out to eat, she would have this sort of in her back pocket. If somebody wanted to order food, she would have this one favorite thing that she could always rely on. It would always be tasty. It would always be healthy for her. But it would never feel like a concession. For you, that's important. I don't want to eat stuff that I don't like. I could order a salad every time I go out to eat, but I want stuff that I like. I don't want a salad every time I go out to eat. I want stuff that genuinely feels like, a treat, that I get to do these things. You also want that for the people that are around you. I want my coworkers to see I'm not just eating salad all the time. I'm not sad. I'm not miserable. You don't have to feel bad for me. You don't have to offer me a bite of your lunch or whatever the case is. I want you to know that I'm eating stuff that I like, and this is just good. Now, on top of that, it's healthy for me, but it also tastes good. I would eat this by choice every day anyways. So for her sake and for her coworkers' sake, we wanted to find something that she would be able to eat on a regular basis. That meant really digging and finding a restaurant and figuring out how we wanted to approach this. And we came across this food, this dish, which I'm sure that I'm going to pronounce incorrectly. I maybe should have done a little bit more research before I started recording here. I'm pronouncing it as a speedy sandwich, but that could very easily be like spade or something else. I don't know. But I'm going to pronounce it as a speedy sandwich. I've never had one of these, but when we looked it up, it looked fantastic. I will leave a link in the description of this video to either a recipe to make one of these for yourself, or a link to the actual restaurant that we found, so you can see the picture that sold me on making these sandwiches. Basically, what this is a kebab. It's a skewer with chicken or pork, and it's grilled. It's not breaded. It's not fried. It's marinated. It's got different spices and seasonings in it. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the specific spices anymore, but you could imagine getting one that had Italian spices or getting one that had Greek spices or something like that. But the idea is that it's marinated, grilled chicken, and you put it on sort of a hoagie roll, and it's a chicken sandwich. I liked that it wasn't just like a plain grilled chicken breast. I like that it wasn't just a salad, it's a sandwich. And there's something immediately accepted by your friends and family when they see you eating a sandwich that looks like this. There's something immediately accepted as like, oh, that's not diet food. That's something that they like. I love those sort of recipes when I'm trying to get my family to eat healthier. I'm trying to find things that my wife and I can eat together. I love stuff like that because it just looks good. It's not something that you have to sell by going, no, it really does taste good. I know it looks funny, but it really is delicious. I like it. I always have to fight, specifically for salads. I always have to have that fight that, no, I like this salad. I eat this every day. It's good. It's got a good dressing. It's got good toppings in it. That's always something I have to sell a little bit. But a sandwich like this is really easy to sell. This is my favorite sandwich from my favorite local joint in New York City. I order it all the time. And it's something that you can really well rely on. It's fairly plain. One of the things that I'd be worried about is sauces, and there isn't a really heavy sauce. And if you don't want any sauce, you can always ask for no sauce at all. So that's not a particular concern. The one issue that it has is that it's pretty plain. It's pretty plain. There weren't a lot of toppings, at least for the restaurants that we found. The pictures that they all showed, they were very, very simple. It looked just like a chicken sandwich. Maybe there were a couple of pictures with lettuce and tomato on them, but I don't even think we saw a lot of that. So the sandwich is pretty plain. It's neutral. Chicken on bread is not a weight loss food, but it's also not a weight gain food. It's okay. To make it better, to push it towards that weight management side of the equation, we want to make sure that we bulk it up with volume, and we want to make sure that she has good sides to go with it. Because if you put chips with the sandwich, that's not so good. So to bulk up the volume itself, we had her using some pickled vegetables. Pickled eggplant, pickled mushrooms, pickled peppers, pickled pickles. You could do any sort of pickled vegetable you want. I will leave a couple of links to different pickled vegetables on our website and in the description of this video. But that adds two things. First, it adds volume, so your sandwich looks bigger and heavier and fills you up more. It's just a prettier sandwich. It adds all of that. But in addition to that, it adds moisture. So you don't need mayonnaise or a sugary barbecue sauce or something like that, which, as I said just a second ago, can be a bad thing when you're getting sandwiches. Because it's pickled, it has like the juice of whatever it's jarred in. Now, again, if you were going to get this sandwich, don't necessarily have to use these specific vegetables, but I do like the recommendation. Put some extra peppers and onions on it, put lettuce and tomato at the very least. I feel like that's the lowest barrier of entry if you're trying to make your sandwich a little bit healthier. Put some stuff on top of it. But in her sake, we're going to give her eggplant, mushroom, and sweet pepper. And the way that we envision it is that she keeps these in the refrigerator at her work, always jarred. Those are the kind of weird things that your coworkers aren't going to steal from you. And that was actually a consideration that we made. If you want to keep stuff at work, are other people going to eat it? Are other people going to ask questions? Is it going to smell weird? Is there going to be any conflict with you keeping this at work? And that was something that we pretty universally agreed. No one's going to be stealing your pickled eggplant from the refrigerator. Probably. I think you're going to be pretty safe on that one. So all that stuff is going on in the sandwich. As a side to the sandwich, we need some finger foods. So we gave popcorn. We're going to put some seasoning on that popcorn. She has a couple of different types of seasonings. I think just, salt can be good, but there's some specific popcorn brand seasonings that are made just for flavoring popcorn, and we've got a link to some of those on our website. She's going to have a variety because popcorn is going to be something that's a pretty solid staple for her. Popcorn is, again, something that she can keep at work. She can pop it quickly if she wants a quick snack. It's something she can eat at her desk. Popcorn is a super good choice. You just want to make sure you're not getting a high butter, high oil popcorn. So air pop popcorn loose kernels. I actually have a link to some popcorn kernels on our website if you want to check it out. Specific brand that I like. Or you could get microwave bags, or you can get pre-popped bags of popcorn. You just want to make sure that there's not butter and cheese and other stuff that might be added to it. But that is something that you can always rely on, and it gives a big volume, and you can really kind of take your time with that and enjoy it. And she can snack on it for the rest of the day. It's not something she has to eat all at once with lunch, but she'll have some to go with lunch, and then she'll have, for the rest of the afternoon, snacks that she can use. Then she has snap peas, some kind of raw vegetable. I think there's going to be a place for variety in the future. It's not always going to be snap peas. It could be carrot sticks. It could be celery sticks or broccoli or whatever you want it to be. And then a ranch dip. And I put a link. I know I'm saying that a lot, but there's a link for the recipe for the ranch dip on our website as well. The ranch dip is important if you get any standard bottled ranch dressing, or if you get any ranch dressing from this restaurant when you order your takeout. It is not going to be good, especially for this purpose, because you're dipping and scooping, and you've got a lot of popcorn or snacks that you're doing it with. You're going to eat a lot of ranch dressing potentially, and especially if you like ranch. And if you don't like ranch, why are you eating it at all? But if you do like ranch, it's going to be a problem controlling how much you eat. You want to make sure the ranch that you do have is a healthy version of ranch. So there's a couple of versions that I do have on the website. There's a bottled ranch dressing that I like to recommend, which is 0 calories, and you can literally drink it out of the bottle and you won't get into trouble. It's a little bit thinner. I don't think it's as good for dipping, and it does taste a little bit different from what you imagine a classic ranch dressing to taste like. But it's a good option if you like ranch a lot, because you can get a whole bottle of it and just go to town. There's also a recipe to make a thicker ranch dip for these vegetables, and I tend to recommend that more often, but it sort of depends on your purposes. But she's got this lunch. This is going to be her standard takeout lunch. She never has to be like, she never has to make it weird that, no, I'm just going to eat my veggies I brought from home or something like that. If everybody says, let's go out to eat, she goes, great, yes, my favorite. Let's order from this speedy sandwich place. I'm going to put my extra vegetables on top of it, and then I've got my snacks here. And it's the type of snacks that she could even share if she wanted to. You want some of my popcorn? You want some of my veggies? So that she gets to participate in that event. I think that's pretty important. Then you have snacks for the rest of the day. So after she finishes lunch, she has to get through the rest of the workday and that socialization period. And most of the time, on a typical day, she gets off work, she goes to, as I said, a dog park, and she hangs out with her friend and they let the dog run around. So she's snacking at her desk for the rest of the day, and then she wants stuff that she can take on this adventure to the dog park. So a lot of that is going to be portability. She's going to be thinking about what she can just carry with her in a bag. Remember, she walked to work, so she's not, she doesn't have a car or something where she can keep extra food in case she needs it. It's going to be in her bag or at her desk at work, or she's going to need more fast food, things that she can stop and pick up on the way to these events. I like, for this purpose, to let her have leftover popcorn. Oops, where's my highlighter? Leftover popcorn and these raw veggies. I want her to have enough of that she can eat it with lunch and then snack on it throughout the rest of the day. And maybe even she has a little bit of leftover popcorn to take to this trip on this walk. If she doesn't, she could always make more popcorn. And that's something that she should always have just extra available at work. So she always has popcorn that she can carry into this snack situation. But I also really like canned fruit. And you can do canned vegetables as well. I had one of my trainers, one of the trainers that I had when I was learning to become an educator for weight loss, had a habit in the afternoon of just opening up and eating a can of beans every day, can of beans. And well, I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird when I heard that he did that, but he liked them. And I want to say that he rinsed them and then he adds some spices or sauce or something like that. And over time, I've started eating a lot more canned beans, and I would definitely credit him. I would say he inspired me to do that. But he did that every day. I have someone that I'm working with right now who eats a can of green beans or a can of peas and just eats them right from the can. I think canned fruits and vegetables are nice for that portability, for that storage. She can leave some at work if she wants to. She can have them at home for the convenience when she needs them. But more than anything, she can travel with them. I keep some canned fruits and vegetables in my car, so just everywhere I drive, I've got some of these. But I like canned fruit specifically because, for me, it doesn't take any extra preparation. Some of my canned vegetables I still have to spice, or I still want to heat them up, or I still want a dressing or something like that. Canned fruit is a lot easier to just open and eat right out of the can. And I think if she's going to a dog park and they're hanging out, it's the type of thing that you could just sort of pop open and do. And it could be a can, or there are individual plastic cups that you can get of different canned fruits. You do want to make sure that it is a good canned fruit. You don't want sugar added to it. You want it as pure fruit as possible. You don't want it in a thick syrup. You don't want it in any syrup. Juice or water is the best. And I think that would be the type of thing that she could rely on most days. Again, in future plans, we'll look at some different options, but that's something that's going to be pretty classic for her. Just getting through the rest of the afternoon until she can get home and then have dinner. Now, she does still have dinner coming up. So it's not like this has to be a really substantial snack. But one thing that we want to avoid, just like we did with lunch, is if we eat something beforehand, then when we go and eat lunch, it's a little bit easier to make good choices. If I have just a little bit of, canned fruit, when I go to start cooking dinner, it'll be easier to not nibble and get into trouble when I'm doing that sort of thing. So think about that, especially when you're doing your own plans. A lot of the clients that I work with at first do not snack. They eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and they don't stop and do little things throughout the day. And one of the things that a lot of them find helpful is just forcing themselves to stop and put something small. If it's an apple, if it's a protein bar. We talk about bars, not in this plan, but in future plans, we'll take a look at some bar options. And there's options on our website. But even if it's just something little, it's better than nothing at all when you then go into a tempting environment or you go into a challenge. For dinner, it's hard to say if this is a harder challenge than the lunch is, because she knows she's eating out almost every day. But she gets a sort of standard, she gets into a groove for lunch where at least she has a couple of places that she knows she can always go to. For dinner, it's always going to be different. Sometimes for dinner, she's going to be going to a restaurant. Sometimes for dinner, she's going to be cooking. And as often as possible, especially on a typical weekday, she's going home and she is entertaining. People are coming over to her apartment. And in particular, right now, she is in the process of wooing her new boyfriend and wants to impress him and wants to cook him stuff. So she's definitely into cooking right now. She's going to be trying new recipes. She's going to be experimenting. Some of the things she cooks are not going to taste good because it's the first time she's cooked it. And some of the things she cooks, her friends, her roommates, her new boyfriend aren't going to like. And some of the things she makes are going to be difficult to control, to portion size, to make sure that she's doing them in a healthy way. And she's looking for new recipes all the time, so she's going to have to adapt them and make sure that they're healthy. And one of the biggest things she's going to have to contend with is taking a recipe, making it healthy, but making sure that it still tastes good and that the rest of her roommates, the rest of the people she's cooking for, are still going to want to eat it. That's something that she's going to have to balance out, and I think it's a challenge that we have to face here. So all of that said, I don't know if she's going to consider the lunchtime more challenging than the dinner, but I would guess the evening is going to be the biggest challenge for her as we do future plans. It's a long period of time where she's relaxed and she has time to eat, she has time to cook, she has time to socialize and give in to peer pressure and those sort of things, and she's trying new things. When you start trying new things, then the opportunity to make mistakes gets higher. So, all that said, I think for dinner, what we plan for her on this day is something that she can eat, but she could also feel happy serving to the rest of her friends and not feeling like it's a health, she's not forcing any sort of, I don't even know how to phrase it, but you guys know what I mean. She's not making them eat healthy. She's cooking something that everybody's going to like, and it just happens to be healthy. This is a recipe on our website. It's been there for a long time. It is one of my favorites, and it's one of it's definitely one of my favorites to share with other people, especially kids. Kids can sometimes be picky about vegetables or healthier choices. This is a good one to introduce other people to. It is a chicken meatball. So we're using ground chicken instead of ground beef, and it has a different flavor. What I like about this recipe is that it's not pretending to be beef. It's not like, oh, here's a chicken meatball, but you can't tell the difference. Yeah, I can tell the difference, and you're supposed to be able to tell the difference. Chicken meatballs are supposed to taste different from beef meatballs. If I want it to taste like a beef meatball, I'll probably use turkey meat, and maybe there are some veggie meatballs that are pretty good too. But in this case, you're sort of getting out of the whole thing. When you're cooking for other people, that's really important. Sometimes it's important when you're cooking for yourself too. But when you're cooking for other people, I think it's really important not to try to trick them. Don't say, oh, this is healthy squash mac and cheese, but it tastes just like the real thing, you'll never tell the difference because you're lying. They will tell the difference and they will be mad at you and they won't let you cook for them anymore. And everybody will be sad and it will ruin the whole night. And it will be your fault because you lied. You shouldn't lie to yourself, but if you want to pretend on your own that this mac and cheese tastes exactly the same as your grandma's mac and cheese, at least you're only hurting yourself then. Don't lie to other people and tell them that. When you start cooking stuff and you want it to be healthy, it's sometimes nice to lean into the fact that it's going to be a little bit different. Just to get that expectation. It's not going to taste exactly the same. Is it still going to taste good? You bet. I'm not going to make it if it doesn't taste good. I'm still going to like it. Alright? I'm still going to lick my plate clean afterwards. But it's not going to be exactly the same, and that's okay. I like chicken meatballs for that reason. Because right away, you're already getting out of that expectation. Especially because a lot of people have never had chicken meatballs at all. But they're familiar with chicken. They're open-minded to chicken. It's not a vegetarian meatball. I think if this was somebody that I didn't know too well, and I said, here's a tofu meatball, I would have a lot more trouble. Chicken meatball is a little bit more accessible, and at the same time, you know it's not going to taste exactly the same. So it helps pair those expectations. And people come into this a little bit more open-minded. Like, okay, let's see what this is all about. I'm willing to try it, but I know it's not going to taste like a beef meatball, and I don't want it to. We're leaning into that even further by putting a different sauce on it. It's not a tomato sauce. It's not a barbecue sauce. This is an orange ginger sauce, and that recipe is in the description and on our website as well. It's one of my favorites. I do it all the time, and I think it tastes good on, for me, most anything. It's the thing... I'm trying to decide if this is true or not. It is one of the things that really opened up different cooked vegetables for me. And I will say very confidently that I started to eat more cooked vegetables when I started to find good sauces for them. I'm still, and I probably never will get to the point, but at least right now, I'm not at the point where I'm just going to eat cooked cauliflower. Even if you season it, it's not there for me. I need a good sauce, good gravy, good dip. I need it to all come together as one thing. Even today, actually, I'm planning on eating cauliflower for lunch, but I'm cutting it up small so it looks like rice and the texture is different. I'm putting a tomato sauce on it, and I'm going to treat it like a stuffed pepper. I'm putting ground turkey with it, and I'm making it up in a way. I'm not just eating plain cauliflower. So I like, for a lot of my clients who struggle with vegetables, to emphasize this idea. Different sauces. Now, this is a sauce that we're actually making, and again, the recipe's on our website. This is a recipe that you're making yourself. There's only a couple of ingredients. For her, that's what she wants, because she wants to impress her friends and her boyfriend. She wants to say, oh, look, I cooked, I made this sauce. And they'll be impressed. It's only 4 or 5 ingredients. It's pretty easy to make, but it's still the sort of thing that when you take this to a potluck or you take this to a holiday dinner, they'll go, those orange ginger chicken meatballs were really good. You must have really been sweating in the kitchen to make that up. It really is the type of recipe that impresses that way. So that's what she's going to do. If you want to do this for yourself, you don't have to use the orange ginger sauce. You also don't have to use chicken meatballs. You could use diced chicken breasts if you wanted to, or you could use turkey meatballs if you wanted to. You can swap these things around. But I like this recipe for her. That's going to be a really good one. And then it lends itself to vegetables. Now, this is a part of her plan where things are a little bit flexible, and it depends on her friends. It depends on who's going to be eating with her. The thought, when we put this together, was that she's going to make the chicken meatballs with the orange sauce. If her friends are cool, she's going to make roasted broccoli and cauliflower and mushrooms for everyone. She's going to roast it up. They're all going to have good, nice vegetables. Roasting is really important as a part of this recipe. Roasted vegetables taste different and have a different texture than steamed vegetables or raw vegetables. She's cooking these vegetables, and she's going to end up eating it like in a bowl, sort of stir-fry style, but they're roasted vegetables. If her friends are cool, And if they're open-minded, then everybody's going to be getting that. If they're less cool, and this is no dig on her friends, but if they're less open-minded, then she's going to make some rice or some pasta that they can have. So they can do chicken meatballs and rice, and they don't have to have any vegetables if they don't want to. But she has access to all the vegetables that she wants. Now, it would be nice if she can share all this stuff. Probably what's going to happen is her friends are going to have rice and then a little bit of vegetables, and she's going to have no rice and then a ton of vegetables. Now, she could, if she wanted to, have rice. It's just something that we omitted from this particular plan because it's not necessary for this recipe. And when you try this for yourself, you can check it out. The vegetables here are also optional. If you wanted to swap in different vegetables, you certainly could. The mushrooms I like because they make it feel like there's more meat in the recipe. So especially if you have trouble controlling your portion size for these chicken meatballs, it's nice to get some mushrooms in there just to have it feel more substantial. But that's the whole dinner recipe. It is a big amount. Okay, all the volume is coming from these vegetables. There's no limit on how many vegetables she can make. And because she is entertaining and because everybody's eating together, she may want a lot. And that's what we're going to plan on doing for her. But it is a lot. It's a big dinner. After dinner, they're hanging out. They're socializing. Sometimes you're going to see wine. Sometimes you're going to see snacks and chips and things like that. We, just in discussing the whole day here, ended up at the conclusion that most days, again, I'm going to put most in quotations, most days, it's more about the socialization than it is about the food. So we wanted her to have a diet soda, just something to keep her hands busy. She can sip on it. She can get up and get it refilled. If it's just like hanging out and playing board games or watching TV or talking, it's more about the socialization than anything else. So a diet soda is probably okay for her most days. Now, we also left it open. It could be flavored water. It could be tea. It could be more coffee. We know that she does that a lot. But any sort of drink that doesn't have calories, that's going to be her go-to on a quote-unquote typical day. The diet soda is especially nice because it does offer an option. If alcohol is going to be coming into play, she can make a drink without using a lot of sugary, high-calorie mixers. You can do a Diet Coke and vodka and not have to get into like syrups and chocolate and sweets and a lot of the fruity mixed drinks and that sort of thing. It's a way of just avoiding all the high-calorie mixings. Now, we very strongly emphasized anyone who is actively trying to lose weight shouldn't be messing with alcohol. It's a dangerous proposition because it makes you more likely to have more alcohol. It makes you less likely to lose weight because alcohol has calories and a lot of them. And it also opens up your inhibitions. When you start drinking, it's a little bit easier to start having a couple of nuts or a couple of chips or something along those lines. So it's not something I recommend for anybody who is actively trying to lose weight. But for Ileana, she's in a stage where she's more working on maintenance and just having a healthy life on a regular everyday basis. So this isn't necessarily a hard drive to be perfect and lose as much weight as possible. Most people will lose weight on this plan, but for her, that's not a driving goal necessarily. So theoretically, is the alcohol going to come in sometimes? Yeah. But the rest of her day is, I think, as perfect as it can be, as perfect as I would want it to be as a coach. I'm very happy with the rest of her day. And most of the time, there's no alcohol. It's a diet soda. We're also going to talk in the future about finger foods and other snacks and things that she can keep around and have in the evening there when they're all doing this. We know that she's going to do a lot of popcorn. She did it for lunch. She'll do it again in the evening. It's just one of those things that's good at filling time. But we're going to talk about a lot more options in the future. This is just her standard plan. So, diet soda most of the time is going to work for her. You're going to find situations where that's good enough in a lot of cases. For me, for example, when I go to restaurants, I don't worry about drinks. Diet soda is good enough. I'm not going to worry about what else is going on. And periodically, when I want to drink something that's a little bit higher in calories, then there's a little bit more thought that goes into it. but 99% of the time, I just don't have to worry about it because I have drinks that I like. Not just water, but diet soda, flavored waters, iced tea, maybe hot tea, warm coffee. A lot of these things can be adapted very nicely. So most of the time, that's what a plan is going to look like. You guys now have an entire day's meal plan. And this is Ileana and her typical day and what she's most likely going to do the majority of the time. I do want to stress that this is not what every single day is going to look like. She's going to do, at the very least, slight differences every day. She'll do a vanilla shake instead of that chocolate shake in the morning. She'll do peaches instead of plums. She'll do different spices in her cottage cheese and different vegetables. We'll talk about different restaurants and things that she can order if they go out to eat. It won't always be the exact same restaurant. But the template, I think, is going to be pretty standard for what her normal day looks like. As we go and look at more plans in the future, we'll layer in some extra challenges. What if she got home late from work? What if she woke up late in the morning? What if she got some bad news and she was trying to deal with stress and comfort food on top of all this other stuff she has to deal with? What if she's on a holiday or a vacation? How is she going to handle those sort of situations? So we'll ratchet up the difficulty in future challenges. But here you have a full day meal plan. Now, at the end of this plan, I want to say this, and I promise you I'm going to say this at the end of every other meal plan video that we make in the future. If you want to try this plan exactly the way that we've outlined it here, I would endorse this for someone who's trying to lose weight. This will help you. And this plan by itself may work perfectly exactly the way that it's set up here. If you have questions about the way that this plan is created, like what are the rules? We're not doing calorie counting here. We're not specifically avoiding carbs. She's definitely having bread in here. What exactly are the rules she's following? If you have questions about that sort of stuff, you need to go to our website or to our YouTube channel and check out our weight loss guide. It's a series of 5 videos that goes more in depth into how you set up your own weight loss plan and then how you create your own meal plans once you have a weight loss plan. All of the details are explained there. But if you still have questions after you do that, then I'd recommend trying to come to one of our live streams, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. But on the live streams, you can talk to me directly, and we can have a back and forth, and I can explain some of the specifics of why these choices are good choices and other choices might not be as good choices, and how you would adapt this for yourself. But all that said, if you want to take this plan over here, if you want to try this plan for yourself, please do. Experiment with it. And if it works exactly the way that it's outlined, that's cool. But my hope when I share these plans with you is not that you follow the plan 100%. My hope is that first and foremost, you understand the basic principles for how we're putting this plan together. Second most, that you can take some idea from the plan. If you're looking at this plan, maybe you get the idea, oh, I could do a shake for breakfast. It might not be exactly a chocolate shake with coffee and plum in it, but you might go, oh, I'll do a strawberry banana smoothie for breakfast. That might be a good idea. If you're looking at your dinner, you might say, oh, if I want to cook for everybody else, maybe I'll make a protein that everybody can enjoy and then give them rice or give them pasta, and I'll find more vegetables that I can do. That way I get to participate in the meal and I don't feel like I'm an outsider there, right? Even if you entirely reject this whole recipe right there, and you want to do something totally different, I hope that idea is helpful for you. I hope you get the idea, oh, they're doing canned fruit here. They're doing fruit cocktail, but I would probably do mandarin oranges. Take the ideas more importantly than you take the plan itself. And if there's one particular time slot and you like that snack and you say, all right, I'm going to do this snack, there's exactly the same as Ileana. I love the way that's addressed. Take that. If there's one specific recipe that you like, take that one specific recipe. But please don't think that you have to take this plan exactly the way that it is, because I can bet for any random person who's out there, there's some part of this plan that does not make sense for you. Either you won't like the way it tastes, or you won't like the way that it plays into your schedule, you won't have time, you won't be able to find the ingredients that you need. If you don't live in New York City, finding that speedy sandwich at her specific restaurant is going to be pretty difficult. So you're going to have to adapt things a little bit pretty much every time I do a plan like this. One of the videos in our series, the weight loss guide, is designed to explain where you have room to experiment. If you need to make an adjustment, how can I make an adjustment without risking now it becomes a bad choice? If I take this chicken meatballs and I adjust it by putting in, a breaded fried chicken instead, I'm adjusting the plan, I'm happier with it, but it's not getting me any better weight loss results. So that's one video out of the series that I'll recommend specifically if you want to take these plans and use them for yourself. How can you adapt it? How can you make it more of your own? And how do you make it work for you? Hopefully you got something out of this video. If you've watched it all the way up until this point, at the very least you found it entertaining, so that's good enough for me. But hopefully there's something here that's useful for you. I do want to encourage you to like this video and subscribe and check out our future videos as they come out. Visit our website if you have any particular questions about weight loss in general, and stick around because we're going to do a lot more of these meal plans in the future. Thanks. Bye.